Hello and welcome to all our audience on the ISB&M webinar series, Adapt, Evolve and Succeed. Yes, that's the theme of our series. We have with us today Brinda Sarkar, our first batch alumni. And she had done MBA with media specialization. She's now working with the Telegraph newspaper, covering the Newtown and Salt Lake area, but she also writes with T2 and other supplementaries. Sharing the platform as a co-host is Professor Brita Singh, faculty at ISB&M and communication trainer for excellence. Brinda, welcome to our show. Well, first, let me apologize to our viewers, our audience. We have been late. Well, the title of this webinar is Reporting from Ground Zero. And I'm sure all of our audience know how challenging that might be. You know, a lot of glitches can come, a lot of problems can crop up right at the last moment, but yet we make sure that the reporting from ground zero never stops. The show must go on. And that's why we are here, by a little late. But Brinda, over to you. Could you just talk about, what made you decide for journalism as a career? Or even before that, what made you choose to do your MBA with media?
All right. Good morning, Avirupa ma'am. Good morning, everyone else. Fine, I'll just get to it. I actually did my graduation in commerce, but then I realized that I wasn't enjoying it very much. My balance sheets wouldn't tally. So, and then I realized that instead of doing, my accounts and everything, I found myself going through newspapers cover to cover. I found myself going through all magazines that would come to our house. I would go through, watch a lot of news on the television. And then I realized that that's my true calling, that I actually, want to be part of the ICE industry. ICE as in information, communication, and entertainment. So then I realized that, I should switch over, and I'm really glad I did. And of course, I found ISBM at that time. And yeah, the rest is history. I'm really glad I took this plunge.
Brilliant. So being from our first batch, you had a training in as a student in ISB&M, and then later on you moved on to your work life. So there are two stages of learning, I believe, one at the college and then at the learning on hands training, as I say, as you work in the field. So how has it been? What is the role of seniors? What is the hand holding process that you learn the ropes?
Okay, Avirupa ma'am. Actually, like you rightly said, there are actually two stages when it comes to a profession, when it comes to the professional world. Very important is the learning aspect, which is what, we do at our colleges and universities. So actually, we've been really lucky that we've been in ISBM because here, along with theory, we had a lot of practice. There are many institutes which have teachers who are very academically sound, but at ISBM, I think, the management had made sure that our teachers were also from the professional field. We had Devashish sir, we had Amartya sir, we had Shujoy sir. Everyone knows Shujoy sir now. He's a huge name in the entertainment industry. We had Jayaraman sir and PK sir himself. PK sir, I really want to share this incident of how PK sir would show us what the real world out there is going to be like. We would have firstly, in normal graduation college or in school, our classes would be from, like 8 in the morning till about the afternoon. At ISBM, PK sir's class would begin at 10 p.m. So initially, it was a big culture shock for most of us. Everyone was like, okay, we have to go home. Our parents are waiting. We have to eat dinner. PK sir would come and say, just put all of that to rest. Forget all that. Because in the industries, no one is going to listen to excuses like this. So we used to report to class at 10 p.m., finish the class, and just when everyone was, tired and ready to drop off, PK sir would say, okay, now you have 5 minutes to freshen up. Now we're going to tantra. We're going to party. We feel like, what's happening? But again, many people, they would get a culture shock. They would say, what is this? We are here to study MBA. Why are we being asked to go to party? But, it's because of those that later, especially for me in the media, I pretty seamlessly got into the job. Because in the real world, this is what happens. If you're reporting parties, or if you're reporting anything like this, nothing begins before. I'll tell you about the year end. The year end is really busy time for the party season. All the Christmas, New Year, everything begins. Nothing begins before 10-11 at night. So you really have to have that much energy of doing your regular reporting work, writing, filing your stories, making pages, and then freshening up in 5 minutes to go join the party at 10 o'clock, because that's what the real world is. So really, thank you, PK sir, if you're watching this, or let me assure you that all of us remember this.
So that was college, right? So could you talk a little bit about, that was fantastic seasoning. I mean, a lot of our students keep talking about this, that, the fundamentals of management is definitely academics, but beyond academics, the lifestyle that a manager or a person in charge would have to lead. And the seasoning that they get in ISB&M, it is completely different from any other college, and which helps them actually to seamlessly work in demanding professions. So Brinda, that was college, but talk about when you were in office, when you were a rookie, greenhorn, so to say, in the media world. What happened there?
So initially, there is a bit of a jump, because no one can, prepare you for it. Like, you cannot learn swimming by reading a book. You have to get into the water. So I did that as well. And knowledge cannot be given, it can only be taken. So it's up to a rookie to be like a sponge. We have to keep our eyes and ears open, and we have to learn from seniors. In out there in the corporate world, I'm sure all of you will agree, no one really has the time to sit and teach someone. That's not part of their job description actually. They are there because they have a lot of work, and there are deadlines, especially in the media world. So you're always in a hurry. But even in that time, if a junior is watching closely, she can learn a lot. You have to ask questions. That is one thing I've realized. That is one, that's a really essential quality of a student actually. One would be to respect your seniors no matter what. They have been there, they have done that, they know a lot more than you. So you have to have a lot of respect for them. You have to ask each and every question that comes in your mind, no matter how small it seems. You cannot think that, oh my god, what will he think, what maybe he'll think I'm really silly or stupid. It seems like a very tiny question. No, nothing is tiny, nothing is obvious. It's your job as a junior, as a student. If you want to learn, you have to ask each and every question till it is clear in your mind. And if you ask clearly, then your senior sees that you're interested. And everyone wants to teach actually. Everyone, whoever has learned from someone, and they want to pass it down. At least this is what I believe. I would also want to do the same. So if the senior sees that someone is interested, then they want to, pass on. They want to teach. So yes, just observe your seniors, do whatever they are doing, compare your work. This is something I still do actually. Whatever I write, I compare it with others. Or maybe when my editor takes it, after she's done with it, I go through the work and see if she's changed a word anywhere, or if she's changed the grammar of a sentence anywhere. Maybe I realize that the punch of the sentence is better the way she's put it. The ending has the punchline, or there's a lot actually that can be learned if you just observe your seniors. So
Completely, Brinda. I think that's a brilliant question. I mean, brilliant answer the way you responded. One is, I believe, what you said, that be observant, and the second is be proactive and never shy off from asking the questions. Brinda, you have interviewed Nobel laureates. You have even gone to prisons and interviewed prisoners. You have reported on election duty. You have reported on the pandemic. you have driven muscle cars, and you've also traveled international destinations, right? So that must be a huge and varied experience. Could you share some of the stories?
Yeah, sure. You know, this is actually, we're really lucky to be in a profession like this where there is growth at every stage. All, you know, we are so lucky that we get to meet people from all walks of life. And if you are humble enough, then you learn from a CEO and you learn from a sweeper. Everyone has something to teach if we can, like I said, be a sponge and learn. So I have learned from all, you know, the stories that I have ever covered. Some of them that you mentioned, yeah, Nobel laureate Kailash Satyarthi, I got to meet him once. He was so inspiring. I actually asked him one question that I remember. You know, that so many of our readers, me included, we want to do so much for society, especially for children. We want to help them, we want to teach them, but we don't know how to start. So he just told me one thing: don't think, just just take the plunge. Don't waste your time thinking. You know, things, details will take care of themselves, but just you need that courage. You need to muster that courage and just decide that today I'm going to make a difference. So just get on the ground, the rest will take care of itself. Then another story that I really liked was, I got to interview this lady who, she was in her 90s. She had fought along with Netaji. She was in the Azad Hind force. And I couldn't believe that I could meet someone like her. She was so inspiring. When she had come, for this meet, she had come dressed in uniform. She had come in her Azad Hind Fauj uniform. Can you imagine the gravity of that? I mean,
Wow.
the Netaji. And, her story was just moving. I asked her, what made you, devote your life to this? She said one sentence by Netaji. What is that sentence? That is a sentence we have all heard. But she had heard it straight from Netaji. It was, give me blood and I will give you freedom. When this lady heard that, she was a child. She was 13, 14 years old. She went to her house. She brought out all her gold jewelry and she donated everything to Netaji. And then she joined him. And till her last day, she passed away last year. But till her last days, she was just moved by the person. And she was very sad at seeing the way people have become now. Because of course, people like Netaji, they have such tremendous ideals. So there are lots of stories like this. So whatever you want to hear, I can tell you. But yeah, every story has taught me a lot.
Makes me wonder how.
Brinda, your reporting is sometimes very compassionate. In your recent article about the COVID blues, you have talked about a lady who has lost her music, which was actually her passion, and the sadness it brought to you to hear that from somebody who, I think you mentioned that she was in her mid 70s and music was such an important part of her life. And now to lose music is truly a great loss. And you've written most eloquently about it. I was very touched by that article.
Thank you so much, Brita ma'am. Let me just tell you what this story was about actually. Because of the lockdown, we are having to write a lot of different kind of stories because the usual world, of course, has changed. So one of the stories, the one that Brita ma'am is explaining, this is about the kind of depression. This is about the kind of temperament that people are taking up. That they are forced into in this world, of course, because of the lockdown. No one is able to go out and all. So this was about this one lady. She had been learning music since the age of 3. She took it up as her higher studies. She became a radio artist. She became a music teacher, and not a single day has gone when she hasn't sung a song. But since the lockdown began, for the last 3 months, she hasn't been able to hum a single tune. This is how much the lockdown has hurt people. This is how much, how pained people are. But at the other side of the coin, let me also add another story that just came out yesterday. This is a very, very optimistic story, actually. This is about a gentleman who, hold your breath, is 99 years old. He is hale, hearty, and he's so full of life. And you know what he's done during the pandemic? He has donated 90,000 rupees to the State Relief Fund. That's his way. That's his way of, of coping with the problems aside. He says that this is what is happening, so I need to do my bit. So, this is
So
the two
brilliant,
sides.
brilliant. And now that we have more or less adapted our lifestyle
Mhm.
according to the new normal, and we would go ahead with life come what may. That is the mantra now. So this definitely is very inspiring. So about all the stories that you said, I could see, I mean, I'm sure Brita, you would agree that I could see a lot of passion from her,
Yes.
But when we talk
Not
about
only passion, compassion.
yes, passion,
Empathy.
compassion,
Empathy.
emotion. But
Passion
when we
in writing, yes, definitely.
True, but when we talk about reporting, the classical style of reporting is dispassionate. Like you remove yourself from this news story so that it doesn't get colored by your views or by your emotions. So, how difficult is to balance that?
Okay, this is a very pertinent question actually for journalists. Um, what I do is that, suppose, you have to be a witness. That is what a journalist is. And a witness, like the witness in court, what we see in movies, a witness is someone who has seen an incident with her own eyes, not heard from someone. And another very important quality to witness is that a witness is neutral. A witness takes no side. That is what a true journalist is. Um, so yes, say you're covering the elections or something, then you have to be completely neutral. I have covered elections in which I have got manhandled by by people of a particular party. But when I write about it, that is a different side. You have to block that out. That is an incident, that is a stray incident that happened. Maybe it's actually not stray, maybe many people have had to face this. But when I'm reporting, it is not Brinda who is reporting, it is not the person who got manhandled who's reporting. It is an employee of the company who has been given a job, and the job is to write what she has seen without adding what she feels. However, Avirupa ma'am, there are some stories which uh, there are some stories in which I have actually got involved, and it has given a different light to these stories. And they come out much more colorful. Like, once I had gone to cover this story on Earth Day. There's an environmentalist actually. So what she was doing for Earth Day, instead of holding a seminar or doing a march with students, holding rallies and all, which actually wastes more resources, what she did was she chose a dirty plot of land and she said, "I'm going to clean it up." So she was there. She was just digging it up the whole morning in the heat of May, the month of May. It was terribly hot, but people were ridiculing her. What's the point? Every day, today you clean, tomorrow it'll get dirty. Doesn't matter. So you know what I did, Avirupa ma'am? I joined her.
Oh, wow.
Got down. Yeah, I picked up a spade. I put on gloves which she had, and I joined her, and I did it. And it's changed me. From that day onwards, I realized that it's not just something to be written about or even to be understood. It is something to be done. From now on, whenever I see someone littering or dirtying some place, I feel really bad, and I go up and I tell them very politely, because I know habits cannot be changed overnight. But I feel very passionately. Then there was another fashion show that I went to cover, and I had gone some weeks beforehand, and the organizers, they were so sweet. Somehow they felt that I could be part of it, so I joined the fashion show. I walked the ramp, and along with covering it, I realized how difficult the lives of models are. The lives of models and designers, the physical labor and strain that they go through. For a shoot that will happen at 4 p.m., they have to get ready from 4 a.m. And that is no exaggeration. If there is food, they will eat. If there is no food, they will go hungry. They cannot complain. They have to stand out in the heat, in the sun. They have to have their eyes bright open, because otherwise, it will show in the camera. They have to smile through all that difficulties. So all this, maybe I could not have realized if I was not part of it. So it's, both the things.
So it's empathy, right? I mean, when you put your feet in someone else's shoe to realize how difficult the other person's life is. Would you agree, Brita?
Yes, and I have a question for you, Brinda, from Professor Mohua Maitra from Isb&M Kolkata, where she has made a comment, and she wants your views. She says, social media full of user-generated content is now an indispensable news gathering tool for a journalist. As a consequence, fact-checking has become a more vital element in journalism more than ever before. What are your views as a practitioner?
Brita ma'am, could you just repeat the last part? What has become indispensable?
Fact checking.
What she has says that
checking,
because everybody's posting on media, it's generated on social media. As a consequence, fact checking has become more vital in journalism than ever before.
Thank you for the question, Mohua ma'am. Yes, absolutely. I totally agree with you. I mean, we're in the middle of a pandemic now. Can you imagine what would happen if, people were only relying on social media or something? I mean, someone in social media writes, and this actually happened, there were rumors that, please, we're washing our hands, we are using alcohol-based sanitizer to, disinfect our hands. So there was this rumor on social media, why don't you drink alcohol to sanitize your body? Can you imagine what would happen if such things, went viral? Besides a pandemic, there would be pandemonium. So yes, completely. This is where mainstream media actually comes in. This is a huge responsibility of mainstream media, and this is something that readers, viewers should also keep in mind. Whenever you see anything doubtful on social media, please doubt it. And how do you verify it? Verify with mainstream media. If the mainstream media is writing about it, we actually have to go through many layers of fact checking. We have a lot of sources, and the sources are not so and so said, that so and so said. No, we go straight to the horse's mouth, to whoever is attributed to having said this. If this alcohol ridiculous thing, we would have to check it with doctors, we would have to check it with virologists, we would have to check it with the state health machinery. So without these things, we cannot do. And fact checking is always really important, in any actually media house. So yes, you're right.
So, Brinda, before that, let me tell our audience that we are eagerly waiting for your questions. Please participate and make this session yours. All by a little late, but we are here for you and your questions. So please be encouraged to speak. And
we have another question. As you said, the audience
taking a cue as if.
Yes, they have obeyed your diktat. The question is, there are two questions actually. One is from Professor Shobhan Nandi, who says, your observations on uncanny editorial pressure and paid news coverage of these times.
Okay, so let me tell you about paid media coverage, Professor. See, what happens is that, suppose there is something like, let's take let's take restaurants. Okay, there are 1,001 restaurants. Which ones to write about? Everyone, all the 1,000 restaurants are coming and saying that please write about us, we are very good. Maybe you are, but how many can we write about? If we write about one, then all the other 999 will come, say why are we left? So in this case, what happens, a lot of times the restaurant would tie up with the media house. Tie up, sometimes what this means, um, they will give ads, and it will become an association event. So it means that you know, so and so food festival happening at so and so restaurant in association with this media house. So in association, it actually means that uh, they have given ads. So yes, in a way it is a paid ad, and also in exchange of that they are getting coverage. So the media house will go and cover it. So in such cases, yes, paid ads are done, and I personally do not think it's a bad thing. But obviously, if you're talking about paid ads in matters where it really makes a huge difference, in matters of say politics and all, that of course I am completely against it, because those things make a huge difference. Yes, Brita ma'am, go ahead.
This is from our first year student of the batch of 2019-21, Ronak Kumar Singh, who can always be depended on to ask the most pertinent questions. He has made an observation here. The Press Freedom Index ranking for India, positioned at 142 in 2020, just above Mexico, has significantly decreased over the last few years. What are your observations and comments about that?
All right, this seems to be a really serious media student.
Actually, he's a management student, but never
Oh,
mind.
well, he's a management student with broad,
Yes, yes,
interests everywhere.
yes, yes.
So yes, of course, this is a really sad thing that such things are happening. If we look at, um, it's all over. If you just open any newspaper or watch anything, with Kashmir and everything, of course, this is, if this has been done independently, then yes, of course, this, India has fallen in the rankings, and it is a tragedy. In a democracy like us, this should not be happening. However, I personally have not faced this. Maybe because, I am in the luxury of a metro city sitting in Calcutta, and the beats that I cover and all, I have not faced any kind of restrictions from anywhere. And the media house that I write for, actually, they are very fearless. We are asked to write whatever is the truth, and not to worry about any sort of political pressure or any kind of pressure. The truth has to prevail. Satyamev Jayate. So that is our job as journalists, and if we are not being true to ourselves, then we don't belong here.
Wow, I'm sure it's very deep. Um, Brinda, you were talking about being manhandled during elections, right? So there, how is being a woman? Is that an additional challenge, or being a woman in an industry which is as demanding as journalism, frontline journalism, or in the media industry in general, is being a woman a deterrent or an advantage?
Okay, Avirupa ma'am, actually, I consciously do not think of myself as a man or a woman um, when being in this job. Your gender is incidental. You are a journalist. You have come into this profession because you want to write, because this is what is your calling. Don't stop to check. This is my advice to students and budding journalists also. Please do not stop to check whether you're a man or a woman. It is really incidental. Just decide if you want to be a journalist or not. And if you want to be, then don't let anything stop you. uh, you know this is one of the uh, this is one of the things that we really uphold. You should have no fear. You should have, you shouldn't be coy. You should not be disgusted by anything. Lojja, ghinna, bhoy. You cannot afford to have any of these. And fear, of course, you cannot have it at all. Yes, I have, covered it elections where I have got manhandled and all. But ask me if I want to do it again, I will grab the offer. This is what we are here for. This is what we signed up for. And, it is not an advantage, but it is not a disadvantage also. So just don't let anything stop.
You have a brilliant attitude, Brinda. I think that is what makes a difference.
Thank you,
You're
Brita, ma'am.
eloquent and you have a brilliant attitude. And now we have a question from Professor Ashish Mitro, also of the Calcutta campus. He is talking about the debate that Calcutta Club organizes with the Telegraph. It's an annual event, much look forward to, and everybody turns up for it. He wanted to, have you ever covered any of these? And do you think that they serve any purpose?
Do you think what?
Have you covered any of these debates? And also, do you think that these actually serve a purpose?
Oh, okay. I cannot. I'm not sure if I have covered. Maybe I have. I think there was one where Pachori had come, the environmentalist. Actually, frankly speaking, I really cannot remember if I have covered the debates at Calcutta Club or not, because I'm a member. So it's possible that I had gone to attend it, and maybe, being a journalist, at least for me, this has happened. I cannot attend anything interesting without taking notes. So, so it is possible that maybe I attended it, I took notes, but I, cannot remember if it was published or not, or if I had taken personal notes. But if you're asking if, I think a second question was if they serve a purpose, yes. So, yeah, I really think they bring forth a lot of different personalities with, such debates. What they do, a debate essentially means a clash of different ideologies, a clash of different views. So to be an audience in such a debate, if the topic is something that sparks your imagination, then it's very interesting to watch. And when there is a back and forth with people of different ideologies, a lot of you comes out. And a lot of this is things which people would not have seen or heard anywhere else, but in the heat of the moment a lot comes out, and the audience goes home with much food for thought. So I find them really interesting, and if they can be covered, then suppose at the Calcutta Club maybe only so many hundred can watch, but if we cover it, then thousands, lakhs can read about it, find out what eminent personalities have to say. So that is their purpose. I think
Also, I think building public opinion around an issue, I think that is
Yes.
also one of the purposes of holding such an event.
Yes.
Yes.
And that media plays a very important, it's like the conscience of the public.
Yes.
Fourth pillar of democracy. Yes, the fourth pillar. Brinda, you just talked about, you want to grab the crisis, if there was any. So from that, do you think that is a general attitude of the media? Like, does media thrive on crisis? They, we see the breaking news every day in the electronic media, and even in Telegraph, the font size of the headline, it has changed over time. That now it's more like, the crisis gets more coverage than good stories or positive stories. How far do you think this is true? This perception, that is.
Avirupa ma'am, let me share something that I was taught by Devashish sir of ISBM. Devashish Chakraborty. He was our teacher of media in ISBM, and this is one of the things that he had told us, and we were all wide-eyed that, oh, he said, if it bleeds, it leads. if it bleeds, BLEEDS. So this means if it is bad news, then it is the heading, it is the lead story. uh, Human emotions are such that if it's something bad, if it's something negative, people are concerned. With the corona everywhere, lockdown everywhere, migrants are suffering so much, so many people are falling ill, they are passing away. This is something that really touches the heart. We feel for them. So such stories, definitely, they get a lot of importance, because it is right now, if we look at this situation, the lockdown situation, it is the most important story. It is actually the only story. All stories in the media right now are corona related. In the past 3 months, every story that I personally have done has a corona angle to it, has a lockdown angle to it. Like in the beginning, I'll tell you, we had started with you have to go with um, the times. When the lockdown was just about to begin, we had started with how masks and sanitizers were going out of stock. I'll share a funny story. I had
Please do.
spoken. Yes, I had spoken to this. I had gone to this medicine shop, and I was trying to find out if they have masks and sanitizers. So the person told me, he was infuriated. He said, "Don't talk about masks." I said, "Why?" He said, "Yesterday I sent my chap to the wholesale market to buy 10,000 rupees worth of masks. He bought them, paid for it. He turned back and he saw someone running away with the masks. So masks were getting stolen. It was
My
that bad.
God.
Is ridiculous. Then came the stage where chal dal was in shortage. People were rushing. They were buying 15, 20 kgs of rice. Prices were rising. People were doing ridiculous things like getting their vegetables, putting them in pressure cookers, putting sanitizers, and trying to boil it. Oh God, that's what we were writing about. Then there was the no domestic help crisis. People were going crazy without domestic helps, trying to do work from home and trying to work for home. That was insane. They were getting backaches, neck aches from working so much since they're not used to it. Then came stories like besides COVID, there are other diseases also. People are getting regular fever. People, are getting heart attacks, strokes, arthritis pain. What about these things? Normal doctors were most of them, in my experience, were scared to open chambers because they were also scared of infection. So we did stories like that. We did, lighthearted stories on how the lockdown is taking a toll on our looks. People are, men are not getting time to shave. Women are not getting time to even comb their hair before sitting for Zoom meetings. Good clothes have not come out of the closets. People are just attending their Zoom meetings in boxers. When the rest assured, I am properly dressed today, but then
No, but then you have the Canadian Prime Minister whose hair is getting progressively longer. And actually he looks brilliant.
yes, yes,
He's very
absolutely.
easy on the eyes.
Every week he's a new trendsetter now with his, locks which are growing longer and his beard. So that's the thing. The thing is that TRPs rise at the time of crisis. If you remember the beginning of the lockdown, no one did anything but watch the news and read the papers cover to cover. No one did anything but glue into us ABP Anando, because we just wanted to know, how bad is it? Is there a COVID case in my neighborhood? Can I get out? Am I locked forever? Is the lockdown going to be lifted? Will I get chal dal in the shop? So there was pandemonium, and everyone wanted to get authentic news from mainstream media. So TRPs definitely rose.
When you talked earlier about if it bleeds, it leads. And that I think is because human beings have a fascination for stories which are ghoulish, which deal with disaster. they seem to thrive on it. I mean, years ago, there was a case of, there was a gentleman, I think, who chopped his wife up and stuck her inside a tandoor. And that was covered in graphic detail for many days in many newspapers. So, you know, and people read it, I mean, over and over and over again. So coming from that, would a media blackout, when you're in a situation as we are today, or if we were, say, during the Second World War, if we had a media blackout, would that reduce fear and panic?
Brita ma'am, I think it would increase fear and panic infinitely. It would not only be a pandemic, it would be a pandemonium. You know, people would not know who to trust because everyone would be writing whatever they felt like on WhatsApp and send it out to all their groups. Everyone would be getting misinformation, wrong information. They would be following that wrong information. It would be disaster. So at a time like this, more than ever, people need to know who to trust. And you know, mainstream media is the only one you can trust right now. You know, I always tell this to everyone on social media. Whenever you read any bad news, any negative news, please think 100 times before believing it, because it's so easy to spark hatred or sorrow through social media. You know, all it takes is one enter button.
But this is
So
also
Okay.
true for,
I
Brinda, this
have
is also
two
true for electronic.
questions.
Yes.
2 questions, many questions.
Thank you, audience, by the way. Thanks for throwing us so many questions.
While, as you said, we should take social media always with a pinch of salt. What about digital media like Wire, Reddit, HuffPost? What about those platforms?
Here,
ma'am, again,
I would like to plug in my question as well, which I was just about to
yes,
ask.
yes.
You know, this talk about sensationalizing the news, it is also followed in for electronic media, right? I mean, you create a mountain out of a molehill in electronic media. They seem to thrive on the breaking news every day, even if there's no news, right? So in this rush to sensationalize the news, don't you think it kind of dilutes the authenticity?
Ma'am, actually, the nature of electronic media is such that they thrive on urgency. Their medium is such that people want to know what is happening right now. So they rush and they try to show whatever is shown, and they're in a race against other electronic media. So they try to show whatever they can see. And often they do not have time to check that, because if that is what is going on in the ground, then before another channel shows it, they have to show it too, otherwise they lose out. But this is where print media comes in, because we get a few more hours. If an incident has happened at let's say 6 p.m., electronic media has to rush and show it by 6:15. And often they do not have time to check the facts. Maybe they will check the facts and show it later. But with print media, we have a few more hours. Maybe the edition goes to bed at 2 a.m. So we have that much more time from 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. to make calls to people in authority, to
Verify.
go. What's that, ma'am? Yes, to
Verify.
verify. Absolutely, to verify. So print media, has that advantage actually. You know, we can verify and yes.
No, to then talk about the question, Brita, who asked that question about Reddit and HuffPost?
That was Shobhan. He actually mentioned Wire. I added Reddit and HuffPost.
Yeah, very good question, in fact. So Reddit, HuffPost, Wire, Print, all these are exclusive digital newspapers, if I may say so. And they have the dual advantage of being on time, like they can report then and there. Plus, they have this this additional authenticity, the stamp or the brand value of authenticity with them. So, how does print media, not the digital version of Telegraph, I'm talking about the actual
The
print,
hard copy.
hard copy of the newspaper. How do journalists from there kind of match up to the competition?
So, ma'am, what I would say and what I completely believe is not to restrict yourself, whether as a journalist or as a reader. Be open to everything. Be open to print. Be open to electronic. Be open to digital. If you want to be rigid about the content. Don't be rigid about the medium through which you're getting your information. It's like saying books. Should I read it in hard copy or should I read it on Kindle? In my opinion, I have both. In my opinion, the medium does not matter as much as what you are reading. It's like saying that, I'm in a house and what I have is the best. I have the best light, I have the best, environment, and I'm going to shut my doors and windows. And I will not share it with anyone, and I will not expose myself to anything. What others have is all that. I don't want to have any of all that. So I shut all my doors and windows. After one day, what will happen? The house will get stuffy. The house will get dark without any light, without any fresh air, and I will stagnate. I will be the loser. So, we should keep our doors and windows open. Be open to everything. It's not a competition. Everything either complements each other, or, everything is out there to enrich us. So I really don't think it's a competition. We should be open to everything.
Brinda, Professor Rangam Datta, who knows you, he says hello. And we have a question from Professor Arunima Das, who says, where do journalistic ethics stand, though, in relation to this constant need for TRPs? Media houses are TRP-centric entirely. So how and why should individual journalists even bother with ethical stance?
Ma'am, ethics are everything. Ethics are.
Thank you for saying so.
Ma'am, I at least really think ethics are, they make a man. That is, who are we without our ethics? Just flesh and blood, it is nothing. It is lifeless. What brings us to life is our beliefs. And without ethics, we are just hollow. We would have nothing. We would be, and no one would read us. No one would follow us. The reason people follow a journalist or a media house is because a mainstream media house has these ethics. Unlike WhatsApp University, where just for fun someone can write anything and just send, and just to see how viral it gets, without any responsibility. But ethics,
so yes, absolutely, I agree with you. TRP, of course, there must be a pressure of TRP, just like targets in corporate world. But does that mean you compromise the ethics in order to achieve that? I think even as an organization, they need to realize that it is a very short-lived popularity or very short-lived attention that they might get by compromising on ethics. Because one of the key things that I think a media house strength lies is in how ethical, how authentic the media house is. If you compromise that, you might, yes, it might garner certain instant popularity, but that's very short-lived. In the long run, you compromise your brand. You compromise your brand value. Yes, Brita.
Okay, now I have a question which I no idea what it means. This is from Professor Shobhan Nandi, again from the Calcutta campus. But print media is also being insinuated as Godi media, spelt G-O-D-I.
Is it a misprint? Does he mean M-D-I?
I questioned Professor Nandi about that, and he said, yes, that's the term.
Maybe he can elaborate. I'm afraid I'm not able to follow.
Okay, I'll say that to him, and please carry on, Avirupa, and we'll go back to that question
sure.
later on.
Here, I would like to ask you another very related question, which is, there are a lot of instances where a photo or a particular video of crisis. For example, the latest video of the child trying to play with the blanket of a dead mother in the platform, of a migrant laborer mother with the platform, went viral. You can have several instances. For example, the girl who was running out after a napalm attack, the man at Tiananmen Square, all these photos and a lot of videos and even a lot of reports that that captures a very intense humanitarian crisis. And then there's a afterthought in the minds of readers. What happened to that person? When as a journalist, when you're reporting on an intense crisis and there's a humanitarian crisis at hand, what is your role of a journalist? Like, how does a journalist battle the ethical war inside to attend to that crisis or to report about it dispassionately? I mean,
can I add here,
Mhm.
there was that picture of the child in Ethiopia, a baby really, almost a toddler.
Who died, yes.
Yeah, not dying. Baby was still alive and he was being looked at by a vulture.
Yes.
And the question was, did the journalist then pick up the child and take him or her to the nearest place where somebody could help him or her?
If I remember it correctly, I think the photojournalist who shot that later committed suicide because of guilt.
Right. There was also that girl, beautiful looking girl from Afghanistan with the blue eyes.
Yes.
But National Geographic actually followed her story through some years later.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. So, ma'am, I'm sure it depends from person to person. Because at one point, the person stops being a journalist. What happens when he's taken notes, when he's clicked the picture? Till that point, he is a silent witness. He cannot take sides. But what happens when he puts the pen down and he puts his notebook back in his bag? That is when, your job is finished. At that time, you're a human being. So it depends from person to person, I'm sure, because if you're after being a journalist, you're a person, and then it will depend on what your values are, what your ethics are. I would personally, after doing my job, I would definitely have interfered in such cases. There are many cases where, I have gone, the way I look at it, this is going beyond the call of duty, and it is not interfering with your duty. They do not need to conflict. They can go hand in hand. Sometimes you can give your personal account, your first person account. I have done that in many places. And I have become associated with many causes after having gone to cover them. Actually, a lot of social causes. After covering them, I have been so touched about it myself. I have become a part of it. Anything to do with the environment, anything to do with child rights, or child, anything to do with children, women, a lot of things like these, after covering them, I have become a part of it. I have helped I have helped them, whatever it is, in any way. It's
You can.
in different cases, yeah. But in a lot of times, I have seen that whether, if you keep in touch with them or if you actively participate with them, it's not a bad thing. It only enriches your story further. Let me cite one instance that's coming to my mind. We were covering this, I was part of this car rally. It was an international car rally and it was going through Bangladesh. So I have my ancestors, my ancestral home or whatever, it was in Bangladesh, like many of us. My grandparents and all, many of them were from a place called Narayanganj near Dhaka. Now, it so happened that the car, the rally, it was crossing Narayanganj and going. So, had I been just a journalist, I would have, it would have just been a word. We went to Dhaka, Narayanganj, Sylhet. That would have been it. But I wanted to include myself as a person and not just a journalist. And I went beyond the call of duty. I told, Hormaz Sorabji, actually this was with the autocar and everyone.
Mhm.
So Hormaz, Renuka, they were all there. So I told them that, my ancestors are from Narayanganj, and it's an extremely rare opportunity for me, because I have grown up hearing stories of them, growing up here, of their home, of their pond, of everything here. Would it be possible for us to just stop for a second? I just want to pay my respect to the ground, to the soil, where my ancestors are from. So
Oh,
they were
that's
really
so
sweet.
touchy.
Yeah, they said that, we are time bound. We cannot stop the entire rally, but your case is different. So we're giving only your car permission to stop for 2 minutes. So I did that. I stopped the car. We pulled over. I took a little bag with me. I just, sort of, tilted my head and I touched the ground. And I took a fistful of soil and I put it in the bag and I brought it home. And when I gave it back to my relatives here, they had tears in their eyes.
Oh
My
my God.
grandmother told me, take the soil. Of course, there were many takers for that. Everyone said, give me a bit, give me a bit. But my own grandmother, she said, she had tears in her eyes and she said, take the soil and go mix it in the soil in our garden to, symbolize that we are one and the same. So these emotions, especially, Epar Bangla and Opar Bangla, East Bengal and West Bengal, we have so much history together that this may not have come out if I was only being a ruthless journalist who just wrote, Narayanganj, Sylhet.
Brinda, that
Since
was
I was able to put, my personality, my history, my background, and my emotions into this, I think, what came out was something much more than just that comma.
It was a more
So
personalized account.
oh my God, and it I
It's so
connected it
moving.
so well. I mean, it's really, thank you for saying this story.
Acha, that Godi thing has been explained at great length, so I shall read it out to you. Uh, Godi journalism is a term for Modi loyalist. Blindly do so media which is in Modi's lap, is known as Godi media.
oh,
So they
okay.
wanted to know your views on that.
All right, as in Narendra Modi. So if
Yes.
you actually, yeah, if you go through our newspaper, you'll see that, we are, let's just say that, we call a spade a spade. So, there are no holds barred. If the papers, editors, of course, I am not at that level, obviously. Those in the top management, if they feel something is to be reported, they completely, they have no holds barred. So it does not matter who the prime minister is or who the chief minister is. They will just go ahead. This may happen in other newspapers, and the thing is, if there are some places, some media houses who do this, I believe so, that this is to keep those in power happy. A lot of things depend on keeping them happy, because otherwise things could be difficult for you, because you are at the end of the day running a business, whether it's a media house or it's a mudi dokan. So you have to, at least some places, they try to keep, those in power happy. However, my media house does not buckle under any such pressure. If someone does good work, it has to be written, and if someone does bad work, it has to be written about as well.
Brinda, from that, let me take you back to your alma mater, that is ISB&M. Could you talk? We are now that we are at the almost at the end of our webinar. Let's talk about the campus life at ISB&M, your experience there, and your learning from there.
Okay, we were the first batch, so we really didn't know what to expect. um, I'll tell you, I think we were 10 students in the media and about 40-50 students in the management. So
This is
some of us,
ISB&M Kolkata we are talking
yes,
about.
yes, ISB in Kolkata, I was the first batch. And that's what it was. We had one building. It was a cute building. It was really nice. and had a park in front. So the 10 plus, I think 40, 50, some of our classes like communication, like personality development, we would have together. And we held the first fest. I'm not sure if the fest continues, but we held the first fest at that time. We were so excited, but we made a mistake from which we have learned. We held the fest on 1st and 2nd January. And on 1st January, people had such a lot of difficulty coming because most of the participants, yeah, everyone partied till 31st. So we had a cricket match on 1st Jan, and the cricketers weren't coming from different colleges. My God, it was we were really scared. And from that day, we learned, that when you want to hold a fest or something that involves other people, please keep in mind, the public sentiment. You cannot stop people from partying. So after that, they will be late. Then we had held it at EZCC. Some of you who are in Salt Lake, I'm sure you will remember. It was at EZCC. It was great fun. And we had teachers like Devashish sir, Amartya sir, Shujoy sir, who I'm still in touch with. We still talk once in a while about ISBM, about the media world. Jay Raman sir, I really liked him a lot.
He said hello to you. I forgot to mention that.
Who
Professor
said?
Jairaman has been watching you, and he says hello, and he's very happy to see you here.
I'm so honored to know that he remembers me.
Yes, and Dr. Day is here as well.
Oh my God, really?
Yes, and they're
I'm
all
really
delighted
happy.
to see you.
How sweet. Thank you so much. I don't know if you can recognize me. I think I had much shorter hair then. But I am, in a sense, the same student that all of you have honed, all of you had nurtured. So I am so happy to know all of you are there. Another teacher I really want to mention is Aditya Shastri. He was a guest faculty and he was my favorite teacher. He was just out of the world. Still is. I'm in touch with him. At that time, he was the head of a production house. Yes, let me share this. We were so excited. He was the head of, I think, okay, let me not get the name wrong. He was the head of a production house in India. And after his first class with us, he treated all of our students to a movie in Inox City Center. And the movie was I, Robo. With Will Smith in it. And all of us, yeah, and all of us students were so happy because it was the first time all of us were treated to a movie. In no school or no college before had we been treated to a movie, and that was the entire batch. The whole hall had been booked for us. We were so happy.
Yes, I mean, it's great that you're talking about the ISB&M Kolkata and the connection that you built there. And clearly it has stayed with you after all these years in a glamorous industry like media and journalism. And it's brilliant to know that you still remember the days at ISB&M Kolkata, the campus life. And the ISB&M Kolkata, if you know, and for our audience as well, we have moved on from that cute little building to this.
I don't know whether Avirupa is still online, but we moved on to a sprawling campus by the river, and it is absolutely beautiful. You can step, I mean, the river is just yards away from us. And
that ISB&M Kolkata, though the spirit is still intact, we still have a lot of fun and a lot of really hands-on practical skill training, as well as the theoretical academic part. So that's Brinda. I think you would agree, Brita, that she kind of symbolizes all that
yes,
we stand for, which is ethics, passion for what you do, enjoying life, the work-life balance, and also ambitious, career-driven. So all of that, this is what we aim at the finished product, if I may use the word. All our students revel in that. So thank you, Brinda, for being with us and for sharing all of your absolutely great stories and talking about ISB&M Kolkata with such fond memories. Brita, over to you to conclude this webinar.
Yes, I think I particularly want to say is that Brinda mentioned how important it was to be aware and to observe, because these would be one of the two of the very strong pillars if you want to move ahead in life and build a life ahead. They are the pillars of foundation, of knowledge, of learning, of building a career in the future. Brinda, thank you for a very, very enjoyable session.
Thank you, ma'am, for having me.
Thank you so much. And you've always been very eloquent and very wonderful. It's been wonderful to communicate with you. And we look forward to perhaps seeing you again on the campus. And
Absolutely.
Goodbye. And Avirupa must thank you again for being the best moderator in the world.
Thank you very much. You compliment me. Thank you, audience. Please be with us for our next seminar, which is going to be at 5 today in the evening. And stay tuned. Please participate and make it a success. Thank you very much.